Welcome back to my channel for another short Leica episode. About a couple of months back, I reviewed on my channel the new Leica M6 film camera, which Leica brought to market end of October, beginning of November. I can't exactly remember. I explained all the elements on this camera body here, showed how to load it with film, and in general provided, I think, a very enthusiastic view about Leica entering again the analog film camera segment. I also showed a legacy M6, which is this beauty here. And this one here is in a chrome finish, is not the new one, because the new one comes in black and has quite some years behind her. So it's a beautiful camera. And I also compared the M6 with the M6 TTL and provided a detailed comparison of what's different, and we'll come back to this topic in the course of the video. And now, just a couple of days back, I got something very special, and I'm grateful to my friends from Leica Zurich who organized this camera for me, namely this beauty here. And I thought I unbox this live on my channel and share my thoughts and also my enthusiasm about this camera, because this is maybe one of the most beautiful Leica M6 ever made. And I'm talking here about the Leica M6 TTL 0.72 black paint, which is the Millenium Edition. So this camera was brought to market exactly in January 2000 with a limitation to 2000 units worldwide. And it is a TTL camera here. You see this, so it has the bigger shutter speed dial. I want to unbox this live, want to show what's in the box and what's so special about this camera is, because clearly if you have 2000 units of a Leica camera, you will still find them in the secondary market. But this one here is, in terms of how it was preserved, almost never shot, almost brand new. Let's kick off the video. So let's make some space on the table in front of me to unbox this beauty here and have a look at the condition, have a look at what's in the box, and then of course sharing all my thoughts and everything you might want to be interested in about this Millenium M6 TTL 0.72. All right, let's open the package and let's have a look inside. So here we go, we open this here, we have a look, and then first of all, the first thing we see is a carrying strap. Still also in the original box from Leica, very beautiful. Let's have a look inside. And yeah, this is still brand new. I think this camera was never shot. This is all wrapped in plastic here, have a look. Not opened, not used, and that is a good first indication for a top mint condition used camera here in that box. I stored the carrying strap back into this box here and we put it aside. So let's have a look here, what else do we have here? A lot of interesting stuff. First of all, we get here the box. This is the box we are going to open in a moment. And then we get a lot of additional items here. First of all, we have a lens cleaner, not opened, so we put it aside here. Customer care, I don't want to open that because of names, but this camera was sent back to Leica in the headquarters in November 22 to make sure it's fully working. So they had it with the engineers, which is good. Otherwise, I would not have liked to purchase it. I want to make sure I purchase a well-functioning camera. Then we have a Leica Pass International here. We have a warranty card, all original. We have here another card where they offer the handbook of Leica systems as a present, which is quite nice. And then we have here the manual. The manual is not used. You see that here. This is absolutely not used. It's all without any traces of anything. It's in German here. So that's interesting, of course. And we've seen this before with legacy cameras. And you get a very comprehensive manual here. For instance, quite nice. Let me go there. I just saw this, how to use the rangefinder. Here you see how the rangefinder is working, what you need to pay attention to, and so on. Quite nice, well illustrated. Not the style we have today in Leica manuals. And of course, today you basically get a PDF or a small booklet. But this is really rich in the way it is illustrated. Quite nice. Look at that here. Very beautiful. Then we have Leica M6 TTL. And that is the number of the camera. It's number 171 out of 2000 units worldwide. And that's a certificate of authenticity. So if I ever want to resell this camera, this is what you need to have. Because without this certificate, the camera will drop in value dramatically. But if the number in the certificate matches the number on the camera body, then you're basically good to go. I think, by the way, that 0171 is a beautiful number, so I was even a bit lucky in the number I got here. And then we have a special brochure which says Leica M6 TTL black paint finish, and that is about the camera itself. And look at the way how beautiful it was designed back then in the year 2000. And we'll look at the camera live in a moment, but you get here a booklet with all the images, all the special elements which this camera has and which makes it limited and distinguishes it from all the other M6 TTL cameras you find in the secondary market today. And that's it, the box is empty now. So we have unboxed everything. There were 2 more booklets here. Here is a supplementary or additional information for the user manual. So here they talk about film rewinding and removal, probably some late in time fix. Here an important notice, switching off the exposure meter if the camera is stored in the bag or left unused for some time. The shutter speed dial must be set to off. That, by the way, distinguishes the M6 TTL from the M6 and is something I mentioned in my previous video. Then we have here tips to ensure the lasting value of your Leica camera and lenses. So they give you some data points here, what you should pay attention to, not wasting the material. Here's a warning notice. Modern electronic equipment is sensitive to electrostatic discharges. Yes, I know that. Here it is again, this time in German. And here it is the same statement in French. That's really it. The box is empty now, and I think we can now turn our attention to the main piece I wanted to show, namely this box here and the camera, of course. All right, let's open the main box now. Lift it up carefully. Look at that here. Very nice, very well done. No traces of use even in the package. This is like brand new back then. And then here we have the camera. Again, also here from the inside, a very clean box, almost new, looks really good. And here's the camera itself. So let's open this up carefully. Here we go. This is the Leica M6 TTL Millenium 0.72 black paint finish. And look here, there is still the sticker here. As I said, this camera was very likely never used. This is almost like brand new. We have a look in a second. It's almost as if I would have purchased this in January 2000. I'm so excited about that piece of Leica history here. But we go into all the details in a moment when I cleaned up the mess on the table. Of course, I've read about this camera here in that Millenium Special Edition, but information about this camera is rare in the internet. But we are very lucky because all the original paperwork is included in the box. And if we look into that brochure, which I quickly showed at the unboxing, we get in German here a detailed description what's so special about this special limited edition. And there is a very nice chart here where it refers to all elements, so we can go systematically through them and see what Leica made differently for that Millenium Edition compared to other M6 TTLs. And that's something I want to quickly provide, of course. But now, first of all, let's check the condition of the camera. If you look here, no traces of use. No scratches here. If we let the light go over the finish here, very beautiful. You see it also here. This camera is not used. I'm quite sure it was never used. Someone bought this as a collector piece and put it in a cupboard with glass in front of it, I guess, which is not what you should do with a camera as beautiful as this one and as capable as this one. And here, as I showed before, there is still the protection foil at the bottom plate here. So very nice, very interesting, of course. And I'm not some of these collectors who purchase rare cameras and then lock them up in a cupboard. I also shoot them, and I got a bunch of comments on that when I was live shooting my Leica Q2 007 James Bond Special Limited Edition on Sardinia Island in Italy. And I want to use the camera, and I risk that a little bit of use and signs of use will come to that camera body. But this one here very likely is absolutely brand new, like if we would have purchased it back then in January 2000. Now, the first element which people talked a lot about when I posted my video about the new Leica M6 is the shutter speed dial here. And the shutter speed dial on the M6 TTLs, actually on all M6 TTLs, is significantly larger than what you have on the Leica M6. If you compare them here, we put them side by side. Let's get this right here so you can compare it. You see the shutter speed dial on the TTL is much larger, and many people appreciate that. And actually we're not so much interested in the M6 because they said if it is an M6, then it needs to be a TTL. And you see here, this shutter speed dial currently is on the off position, and the off position is not available on the standard M6. here you don't have an off position if you look at that smaller shutter speed dial. Whereas here you have an off position and then the light meter is really switched off. The camera will not consume any power, which is nice. And then if you turn it, you can feel that this mechanics has been never used. It's absolutely new. And if you imagine that this camera was brought to market in the year 2000, that's remarkable, right? So it's a very beautiful shutter speed dial, and people talked a lot about the size of the shutter speed dial and had wished that Leica in the remake of the M6 would have adopted that larger shutter speed dial. Now for me that's not a concern. I'm happy with this one, but a lot of people at least mentioned that this would have been better to have this larger shutter speed dial, which you get with the TTL cameras on this new edition of a film camera, when Leica brought back the idea of shooting film instead of going digital. Leica considered the Millenium a new era, and that's why they kind of provided a reset here to the serial numbers. And the serial number is here. So this is the M6, and they started the Millenium Edition with 2.5 million plus 1. And since my one has, as I showed in the certificate, number 171, the serial number here is 2.5,171. And you also find the serial number here at the hot shoe 0171 out of 2000 units worldwide. It's very beautifully designed. Another special design element on the Millenium Edition is the film advance lever here. And here, if you look at that, Leica adopted here the design from the Leica M3. And let's just try it out. Beautiful. Listen to that sound. Like new. Very nice. The material of the top plate of the Millenium Edition is brass and not zinc, like you have it on other M6 cameras. And what you also see here on the counter has white engravings, white numbers on black background. And that is also different to what you have on the new M6 here, for instance, where you have black engravings on white or silver in the same way as you have it here. And I think that black style element here matches so well the black paint of the overall camera body here and the top plate. So you have white numbers on a black background. Looks very nice to me. By the way, also here where you would mount a shoulder strap, you have brass material, and it's also in a beautiful black finish here. And you see also how the painting is actually repeated on the back plate here, which you have, and it looks just very nice. Whereas here you have more like a black matte finish. And also that matches then nicely the leather finish of the main part of the camera body. We have here on top of the camera a special engraving which came with this Millenium Edition here, Leica Camera AG Germany. And that is not the case for the M6 here, as you can see, and also not for the new M6, where you just have this not so eye-catching Ernst Leitz Wetzlar Germany. And you also have then here at the bottom, open and close. And that is something you also don't have on the M6 because there is nothing engraved. You just know how it works and then you use it. Whereas here you have these additional engravings here for open, and in German that means auf, or close, and in German that means zu. I mentioned before that the film advance lever here has adopted the design from the Leica M3, and the same applies here to the rewind knob here. If you pull it out, and we have the same design now here as what we had on the Leica M3 with these red dots here. And that's also beautifully matching the overall design of the camera. Let's turn the shutter speed dial now so that we get back into the off position, which is here. And now I want to insert the battery into the camera. And I have one here, which was given to me by Leica Zurich. You see 11.9 Swiss franc. So let's insert it into the camera. Let's see how this works and how this goes. So let's get this out. Here we go. It's the large one. And then we go to the camera body, and here we have the battery compartment. We can just open this. And then we can insert the battery. And there is always a marking you need to pay attention to. And it says here at the top side, I get this closer to the camera, we need here the plus. And you see in the same way as what I showed in my other video on the Leica M6, the new one, you can have two smaller batteries or one large battery, and the plus is on top here. So we have to put this in like this, and then we can screw it back into the camera body here. Very nice. Let's do this. All right, the camera is now powered, but at this point in time switched off. I could also load film, but I want to conclude the video now and want to make two more quick remarks. The first one is that here, if you look at the lens eject button here, that's in a matte chrome finish. On the Leica M6, the legacy one, it has a red dot, and also on the new M6 it has a red dot. So there is another element here which is, I think, important to point out. And then my last remark concerns the viewfinder. I try to bring this close to the camera. If you look here where my thumb is resting, it says 0.72. That's the magnification of the viewfinder, and a lot of people think that in the M6 camera family, this is the best viewfinder you can get. If you like that video, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel, there's always more to come. Thanks for watching, stay safe and healthy, and of course, peace out.